Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another Transformers review. This time we are looking at the Studio Series Bumblebee movie Deluxe Class Arcee. Now I say Deluxe Class with a little bit of quotation marks because despite this technically being Deluxe Class, the size of this figure is more akin to a Scout Class Transformer, which is the size just below the Deluxe. So, Arcee here, she is very reminiscent of her Generation 1 counterpart and thus her animated counterpart as well, technically. She turns into a Cybertronian Kafingle Wungle Dingle Dangle. Yeah, I don't know what this is meant to be. She never actually turns into this in the film because she's only in it for like 2 seconds. But it's a thing. It's like a motorcycle, moped sort of. I don't know what it is. It's a Cybertronian doohickey. As Generation 1 RCs go, her primary colour scheme is a combination of pink and white. Nice grey tyres along the front here. With the oddity about her vehicle mode, I wonder what that's going to be. As sarcastic as I am being regarding this vehicle mode, it is quite impressive how they have made something out of nothing, basically, considering that they had no reference for any type of vehicle mode. Hasbro have been left to their own devices to come up with an original design, and I think they pull it off to their credit. And this figure kind of has a bit of notoriety around surrounding it because as Generation 1 RC inspired figures go, this is probably the best engineered one that has ever been released. The G1RC has had contributions in the Generations line, and I want to say Kingdom as well, not entirely sure, but they've always been, let's say, shell formers. They've had big backpacks on them. It's just a design thing that you can't really get away with when it comes to G1RC. You just can't make a clean robot out of her. However, this figure is the exception to the norm. So, transformation, let's have a look. The first thing that we want to be doing is coming to these bits here and just untabbing everything. Just unclipping it. Everything holds together nice and securely. I like that in a figure. Multiple connection points all over, so we're just going to untab that. Flare them out, they're on ball joints, so just keep them out. And then we're going to extend the arms, straighten the wrists and all of that. And I've accidentally just knocked that gun out of her hand. Not to worry, we'll just tap that back in. We'll just move them out of the way just so we can see what we're doing. And we're going to return our attention to the front here. We're going to unclip that from a couple of ports. I mean, it's meant to tab in with these tabs into slots there, but it doesn't very well. But where it does tab in really nicely is up here on the upper leg. Now, we're going to leave the legs and the feet just as is for a moment. We're just going to focus on this. So we're going to untab it from those really secure spots and just rotate the lower torso down, then rotate 180 degrees at the waist, then continuing to look up. We're going to take all of this and just hinge it all back like so. And I've got to try and remember where her head is. Flip this up. We're going to push her head through that gap there and collapse all of that in on itself and continue collapsing it all. This is the best part of the engineering. If I can remember how to do it, it's been a hot minute. There we go. Just nice and snugly. Rotate those bits back. And here we have Arcee in her Revenge of the Fallen robot mode, so to speak. It's interesting, the decision we've decided to do with these tyres to give her kind of like skates is very reminiscent of both Sideswipe and her ROTF counterpart. And an even weirder thing that you can do with her legs, which I don't quite understand why this was incorporated, but you can split them like that and give her actual chicken legs. And then if you bend her back at the knees slightly, then you've really got like a skating kind of thing going on. Now, I think in Rise of the Beasts, she is going to have like a skater kind of thing going on. She does have normal feet, despite the promo art for her displaying her with legs like this. So maybe it's a reference to that kind of idea. But either way, there is no stability with this. Yeah, it's a thing you can do. It's a weird thing. But to finish off her transformation, then we're going to come to said feet, and we're just going to wiggle them and spin them around, basically. They are tiny little things, and there are tabs and slots, hopefully we can see, that you're meant to just plug that into, except it doesn't really plug in for me. And so the feet kind of just sit in place, and I'm going to straighten her legs and all of that to get that looking at least normal. So coming back here, we're going to just move this out. We're going to wiggle the foot out. We're going to spin it around and then slot it back in. And then it doesn't tab into anything, unfortunately. So it's just going to have to sit there, straighten everything else out everywhere else, and get her standing nice and neatly. And there we go. That is Studio Series Bumblebee Movie Arcee fully transformed in a very pleasing looking robot mode. And this is what I mean about this figure being the exception to the G1 Arcee norm. Yes, there is a backpack. However, the rest of the vehicle mode kerfuffle waffle is kind of inbuilt inside the robot mode, the way that it all collapses up, and so that she doesn't have a conventional backpack apart from these bits, is very, very impressive. No other G1 Arcee inspired figure has been able to do this, so kudos to the Bumblebee movie version for pulling this off and actually giving her a relatively neat and non-intrusive backpack, because it is unavoidable with this version of Arcee that you are going to have something, but the way that this figure pulls it off, sublime. Well done. And yeah, it just makes her have a really nice profile about her. So if we have her stood up and we try our best to zoom into that noggin, it is very faithful to the way that Arcee looks in Generation 1. It is movie inspired, so you can see there are a lot of panel lines along her face. Her eyes, for some reason, they are silver when they probably should be blue, but it is something that is noted on TF Wiki as a thing with this mold. But nice white head crest, nice pink face, pink earlobes on the side, if you want to call it that. She's even got kind of like an antenna on her forehead as well. And then continuing to pull down on the figure, we have a nice breakage of white and pink all along her, a nice pink Autobot symbol just below a light grey, almost silver type of collar piece. There are some nice robotic details all over her as well, just below where the neck is and where her midriff is, as well as the grey gaps on her arms. And then, yeah, nicely proportioned along the legs as well, pink kneecaps, and as we've said, on her back, very nice, neat and compact. Well done. For her accessories, she comes with 2 little blaster pistols. Apparently she only had 1 in the film. Yeah, it's basic, just attachment stuff for her. She can hold them in her hands, as we can see here. There are other attachment ports in various places, but it's up to you really what you do with her, how you display her. She could probably have these on her back somewhere. As it happens, in terms of the connection port on her back, is here. Interesting option. Again, it's completely up to you what you want to do with these things. In terms of articulation, Arcee's head is on a ball joint, so you've got a whole 360 degrees of rotation there, as well as up, down rotation as well. I noticed that her collar isn't pegging in very well, and thus the rest of her isn't pegging in particularly brilliantly here. Again, her vehicle mode connects together really nicely, but the robot mode just seems to be a little bit wonky on mine. I don't know if it's specifically my figure. Anyway, her shoulders are on ball joints, so you have a full range of rotation here, up and down, out that far. You have double jointed elbows, so you've got your standard pin joint there for an over 90 degree bend, and then you've got the one just below it for a sublime bend there as well. You can knock the gun out of her hand. She has a swivel there, and her wrists can go in and out for transformation, but also it's extra articulation should you want it. In terms of the waist, she has 360 degrees swivel, nothing in terms of an ab crunch. She has a beautiful spread. She can kick her leg up that far. She can kick, I'm trying to say. She can kick her leg back that far. She can bend at the knee 90 degrees. She has this weird thing here, which we looked at earlier, where you can chicken leg her if you so desire. And then in terms of the ankle and the feet, she has a bit of ankle pivot here, which doesn't lock in, unfortunately, so that's a little bit disappointing. Slight up and down wiggle if you don't have it locked in place correctly. Overall, articulation, fantastic. For a size comparison, here is the Studio Series Bumblebee Arcee up against the Transformers Prime First Edition Arcee. Here she is next to Thrilling 30 Chromia. To compare her to some other Cybertronian-style Transformers, here she is with Revenge of the Fallen Deluxe Class Soundwave, Last Night Voyager Class Megatron, and fellow Studio Series Bumblebee Movie Deluxe Class Ironhide. And then for consistency, here is Marvel Legends Mysterio. So there we go, that is the Studio Series Bumblebee Movie Arcee figure. I think it is quite a wonderful thing, all things considered. As I've said multiple times in the review, in terms of G1 Arcees, this is probably the best one you're ever going to get. She is not hindered by having a conventional vehicle mode of any sort, so that has allowed the designers to go crazy with this figure and actually come up with a G1 inspired one that fixes all of the issues that previous G1 inspired Arcees have ever had, notably that backpack. The way it folds into the torso and hides itself is quite wonderful. And I have no problems giving this figure a thumbs up and a recommendation. I definitely think that if you have an Arcee in your collection, it should either be the Prime First Edition one, which I go on about all the time, or it should be this one. I think that this is very worthy. The little detractors that it has are that she's small, but then again, that is an Arcee thing. The fact that the feet, at least on my copy, don't seem to lock into place. And the collar bit, for some reason, doesn't seem to lock into place, which allows her backpack to kind of unfold itself spontaneously. But the vehicle mode holds itself together really well, so I had to congratulate it for that. And just the visual appearance of the figure is stunning. So absolutely, I do recommend it. Beautiful articulation, beautiful sculpt work, beautiful design. Fantastic. Thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.